In front of you is the Argo RAFT and its new changes in 4.1.1 and how it killed the Zeus CL. Thank you to my long-time subscribers for sticking around. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. So, on the back here, you'll notice the RAFT has had quite a removal. All of its posts on the sides have been removed, and its 96 SCU has been changed to 100 and 92 SCU, so 192 SCU. Additionally, its tractor beam was used to move to an actual useful spot. The tractor beam that was towards the front at that operator station is gone because the grid now would have blocked it, and it never was in a good spot to begin with. Now you'll see the tractor beam in the top of the screen. So this is about the same view as the tractor beam, and I will test it in just a moment in a clip. But the point is that the tractor beam can see the beautiful giant new grid that is on the back of the RAFT. Now, if you've never been inside the RAFT, there are two floors to it. So there is a top floor and a lower floor. Top floor is not much to see other than a bunch of modules, except for this one station all the way in the back. This support station is what operates the tractor beam, so that makes it an extremely useful spot. Now you'll note the visibility here when you're not in the remote turret, i.e. the tractor beam, is terrible. But once you go into that remote turret station, that means that all of a sudden all is forgiven, because this has visibility right where you need it. So you're going to have a rack of 3 32 SCU containers, and I know you're saying, well, that's the way it was, and now there's going to be a second stack downwards. So the cargo grid has been inverted compared to what you normally expect on a ship, where the bottom layer is the top and the top layer is on the bottom of that layer. And this tractor beam that's sitting all the way on the back has really good line of sight for where the actual cargo is going to be. Not only on paper can it run 192 SCU, it can physically manage that cargo from the interior without risking crew. As a reminder, this is technically supposed to be a 2-person crew, 1 to 2, I would argue, but in general, the concept is supposed to be that somebody is on this support station, i.e. they leave the co-pilot seat in the front or managing other parts of the ship's modules or something, and then they go to that support station and work the tractor beam, while the other crew member is piloting the ship. You'll note that there are 4 suit lockers, there's 2 beds, there's a nice big wonderful amount of substance on board and hygiene, because there's a full bathroom and also that full basically galley with the table and everything. The visibility in the back area for the crew is actually pretty good until you have cargo. Then it's terrible, but that's okay because it's 192 SCU you're putting on. There is also an airlock, not just the elevator. Obviously, don't jump out of this, you'll take fall damage. More on that in a bit about the changes to medical gun, the paramed. But the airlock specifically is here, and that adds even more versatility to the ship as airlocks become more valuable on a ship like this for like fleet support operations and deep operations. The VTOL characteristics when you press K are quite nice. Right now the landing gears are down and the VTOL engines were the side thrusters were changed to the VTOL configuration. Now the landing gears have gone up, but note the VTOL is still down. So this ship does not lose its VTOL just because you want to go not have those giant dangling landing gears in the way. They are that low because the ship was designed to have a rack of 3 out of 32 SCU containers on these giant hooks, and then they would like hydraulically go down and drop them, and then you were supposed to go back and grab more out of a yard or a large ship like say a Hull D or E, and then keep doing it over and over again. But this ship has radically changed due to this additional cargo where it's been doubled. And it brings up some interesting, the VTOL engines are now straight ahead and the speed is going up. The ship is rather sluggish. It is not It is not the greatest ship ever on speed, so comparing it to some of its counterparts, if you're looking at the ship for the first time and considering it, because in the past, the ship has been kind of a dark horse when it comes to this thing, but now it's at the top of the field for many, at least on paper, and this is probably why you're even looking at this, is considering that. But I don't think anybody had on their 2025 bingo card that all of a sudden the RAFT is going to become a best in slot type ship for certain levels of SCU freight hauling. But here it is, a significant amount of quantum fuel on board. And again, back to and you'll note the sluggishness on this part here. The sluggishness on this is kind of like it remembers it's a heavier ship, and this is without cargo containers. I apologize, I did not put them on for visuals and for testing. I had a very hard time even getting any elevators on the stations to work at all, let alone getting to a cargo deck, getting cargo. It is what it is. So hopefully in another build they'll have that fixed, and I'll be able to more reliably get down there and run it. I tried. But an hour worth of trying to get those cargo containers was enough. So again, the Zeus CL, in my opinion, is dead on this thing, because the Zeus CL running 128 SCU compared to 192 SCU gives anyone pause, unless you need protected cargo or you desperately do not want people to be able to see your cargo. Or you just really like the interior of the Zeus. The Zeus is a beautiful ship, and the interior is no exception. But especially if you're paying real money, 175 USD or 160 war bond now it's up to, is extremely hard to justify with this thing running at 125 USD and occasionally at 110 USD war bond. So when you're talking about the RAFT, so I mean, there is a gulf there that is massive. And that brings me to another point, is that I believe that the RAFT will go up in price. I think it'll go up to 150 USD at a minimum, maybe 160. And some of these clips, by the way, what you're seeing are the Bevic Center over at Area 18, which is supposed to be, according to rumors, where there's going to be the event. I am hearing voiceovers there. I am able to get close. However, when even in advanced camera mode, you can only see so much, and it's still clearly the lobby is not even open. Traditionally, as we get close to these large-scale events like ILW, IAE, Defense Con, etc., especially the first ones in the chain, the lobby is usually the first thing to open, where you can go in the lobby, but you can't access the elevators. I did find that kind of interesting, that Area 18 is supposed to be where this is, and it is not available yet. Who knows? Maybe they're testing the halls and they don't want anybody to accidentally be able to get on those elevators this early. Maybe it's unexpected. It's not ready yet. Just plain and simple. But the point is that there's a lot of indications that it's going to be at Area 18 and such, but the hall itself, in the tram line is open. You can go right to it in the PTU Wave 1, which is all this is filmed in. But unfortunately, you can't get in. So back to topic. The RAFT is what it is. It is an incredible pickup right now. And if you don't already have it as a loaner, or you don't already have it, you might want to consider quietly picking up a CCU, maybe not even bothering to apply it unless you want to use it, in the testing. And then if I'm wrong and the price doesn't go up, then so be it, melt it, enjoy it, especially if you use store credit, no skin in the game, right? And then if it goes up, you can use it as a CCU ladder option. So I would certainly consider that. I would also look for an exit pathway off the Zeus CL if you already have one of those, especially if you have it in real money. Consider a option to switch to. As a reminder, unfortunately, because it's already sitting at 175 credit, you're going to have trouble trying to downgrade. You can't switch it to a RAFT unless the RAFT goes up significantly when ILW hits. I don't think it's going to hit 175, but or should I say 180 it has to go to for that to make any sense. But we'll see. Anything's possible. I don't think the RAFT will go to that. I think I'd go to 150 if I was to guess. So there is another change. So the Valkyrie has been doubled in hit points, and it seems that there is a lot of indications that the Asgard is a variant of the Valkyrie that is geared towards vehicles, so especially combat vehicles. So trying to divine the tea leaves here, I thought the rumor mill was a little off there. I wasn't sure. I was like, maybe, if, then, etc. But some of the stuff that has been directly confirmed, including in patch notes of increasing the Valkyrie's hit points by double, indicate to me that they want to elevate this platform to something more combat, even more combat oriented than it already was, and make it more practical for players to use. Just a word of warning though, the Valkyrie is already extremely costly. It seems to be there's no room for it to go up in cost. So where it is, and there's no guarantee that if there is a variant of the Valkyrie, that it'll be higher than the original Valkyrie. So I guess we'll be on a wait and see. They often are, but that doesn't mean they always are. So just keep that in mind. And also a combat vehicle variant of the Valkyrie, it may be like an Orca carryall from GDI days of Command and Conquer or something. It may be directly only can handle certain vehicles, and that's basically all it is just an exoskeleton that drops vehicles with the crew area above. So just keep that in the back of your mind, that sometimes variants are not always the be-all end-all, even if the thing can carry a pair of tanks or, you know, Atlas platform type of vehicles like your Centurions and your Ballistas and such. Take a good look at it before you pick it up, because if this is the case, if it really is a Valkyrie variant, which means it can only be so big, and it's designed to carry it's primarily geared towards large classified combat vehicles, as in large combat vehicles, it's going to be hyper niched, and it doesn't enjoy the benefits that the C2 and the M2 have, and the A2 to a certain extent, where they can load a bunch of cargo on there, unless that is the way the system is set up, where it has like a vehicle / cargo flexi grid or something like that, or it has a big wide hull like a Lancer Max, for example. You know, it widens out and it's variant just for vehicles, but it happens to be for cargo, but you know, you could probably load a vehicle in there. If it fits, it sits. So we'll see how crazy that vehicle is, the ship is, and how it handles the vehicles, and some of the other rumored vehicles that are coming for this large sale. So I would rather wait for just a slight amount more concrete rumor indications, or at the very least a lot more rumors, before I kind of dive into some of the other topics. But I gotta tell you, I did not see this raft thing coming. I did not expect them to make the raft useful. As a reminder, again, the raft was supposed to be a ship where it had the large hooks with the hydraulics that would suddenly drop their 3 32 SCU containers, fly away and go get 3 more, and do this over and over and over again extremely fast. And the tractor beam was just a nice to have if you were in 0G and you didn't have the correct place to drop and it wasn't set up for it. Like an outpost on the side of an asteroid or something like that. Like that was the intention. It never truly became that. And I want to give a nod to Toast, who pointed out that something had to change on here for the cargo grids to work effectively. She had a whole bevy of ideas. We've a couple times we've flown around in the raft and chatted about these things over the years. And one of the things she was suggesting is there should be variants for the raft as well. I am not saying there is going to be a variant for the raft. I am not saying that in any way, shape, or form. But what I am saying is that this simplified grid without all these extra extrusions sitting on the sides that are blocking everything, and with a much more useful tractor beam alongside that excellent laid out 2-crew interior hab hygiene, 4 suit lockers, and all that utility gun. There's also gun lockers on the other side, and utility lockers and stuff, 2 hand and 1 hand, so they do both, next to the suit lockers. It's wonderfully set up on that first floor, and the modules are out of your way. Not to pick on the Zeuses too much here, but if you notice, on the Zeuses, in order to get to the modules, you would have to move some of that 128 SCU of cargo on the CL, for example, to get to some of the modules to fix them. So in the future, engineering is going to be a real pain point for people, frantically throwing containers around, hitting their friends with them and knocking them about, desperately trying to repair something in the heat of combat, or when they need to make a trade very quickly, or not fall out of the sky when they're in Atmo. On the other hand, a ship like the Raft has extremely quick access. Once you get up to that second floor, your modules are all just in a beautiful short row. There's not much storage for additional modules, but when there is relays and when there is module repair and such like that, the Raft is going to be an excellent ship if you are willing to dual crew it, or at the very least, in the eventuality of the NPCs being available, I could see one NPC just being staffed on that second floor. I do feel obligated to point out it does technically have a tiny turret, the Raft, on the top. It is a remote turret operated from the co-pilot seat. It ain't that incredible. That's kind of the get off me weapons the Raft has. The real answer is the Raft needs to run from combat. It needs to run for its little life. It is going to be a situation where 192 SCU can get you in hot water pretty quick and can get you in trouble if you have to jettison your cargo for pirates pretty quick, because that's a lot of money on the line if it's very expensive cargo when you start getting to that level. Keep that in the back of your mind. And also everyone will know you're loading down with cargo. Nobody's flying around with 6 empty containers or 32 SCU containers on the back. Just keep it in the back of your mind. All right, that's all I got for now. Exciting things coming ahead. I'm glad to see all these changes. And again, thank you to my long-term subscribers. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And let me know what you think. Am I overthinking this vastly? Is the Raft still terrible? I don't think it is, but then again, I'm just one person. So, yeah. Y'all have a good one.